start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've never done roll call before. How do you do that? Do I just say?
We've never done the introductory roll call. I mean, you can do it if you like, it's not required. Okay. Well, just introduce yourself.
Oh, okay.
So you could just go down the list.
Okay.
And we can say here.
Okay. Roll call, Danielle Joanne.
Present.
Susan Garrett.
Here.
And that's it. And Martha Majeski, here. Okay. Overview of the hybrid meeting protocols. Lori?
Yes, so we are running a Zoom webinar, so just a reminder for anybody who is participating virtually to submit any comments or questions in the chat box and just make sure to include your name and address.
Okay. The announcement of executive sessions. There was an executive session that was held on January 20th, 2022 and February 2nd, 2022 after our meeting tonight. We discussed personnel issues, potential litigation, and property acquisition. Just trying to remember what we talked about. Okay, our regular business meeting, the consent agenda, acceptance of the minutes of the Board of Supervisors, December 1st, 2021, business meeting, and the January 3rd, 2022 organizational meeting, and the January 3rd, 2022 business meeting, and the January 20th, 2022 workshop meeting. Acceptance of reports, all departmental, committee, commission, and council reports as posted and received by the Board of Supervisors for the month of January 2022. That should say 2022.
I do that for at least a month.
I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Treasurer's report and payment of bills for the period ending January 31st, 2022. Consideration of acceptance of the treasurer's report and approval to pay the bills. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mm-hmm.
And comments. Lori, would you?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So as of January 31st, the general fund balance is showing $3,260,829.66. That's a decrease of about $93,000 over last month, which is not unusual to see with it being the first month of the year. We don't generally bring in a lot of revenue in January. So to date, we've realized about 3% of our revenue and have expended about 2% of our expenditures. So very exciting.
Okay. And comment that you've reviewed all the bills and they're ready to be paid.
And yes, I have reviewed all of the bills and they are ready to be paid.
Okay. So there's been a motion and a second. Any question or comments from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2-minute reports. Any 2-minute reports from board liaisons present?
I have no reports.
Okay. Lori, do you have something?
The only thing I will update the board and the public on is the Policeman Drive project. We did get all of the construction documents signed, so the agreement is with Dollar Construction, and they're working on developing their shop drawings now, and they will then go to TNM for review, so we're moving along.
Okay. Danielle and I have an appointment on Saturday to go up and look at Paul Lemon Drive in person.
It's a road trip.
Yeah, it's a road trip. But
Appointment.
I don't know what the weather is going to be like, so it may be canceled. And Paul, I just don't think that it's really necessary for you to come. I think all of the documents that you provided are pretty self-explanatory. And then once we actually get up there and I show her, I think it'll even be more what's on paper will actually, she'll be able to see it, and I think it'll be fine. So I don't really think it's necessary for you to come to that.
Understood, and also, we have revised our plans to take out the alternate that wasn't being
Right.
used, so it's a simpler version. So, the plans that you have currently would be the ones that show everything. We're revising the plans to give to Dolly Construction so they can focus on what is, what the township is
Okay.
expecting.
Perfect. All right. And we have a new thing that we're starting, and we have a 2-minute report from our new chief of police.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. So the statistics report that you have in front of you, it's kind of a new format. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be keeping track of the incidents on the left, how many we had January of this year compared to January of last year. And then we're going to keep year-to-date totals to see where we're at, if we're up or down in certain categories. So you can just compare, last year to this year. Did you have any questions as far as those statistics go?
I was wondering, with the traffic citations, is it something that you're doing differently in terms of patrolling that you think might account for it, or is it just random?
No, the officers have been out there. Last January, we were dealing with COVID, and I know a lot of departments had pulled back and
Okay.
tried to limit contacts
Okay.
that their officers were having with the public, to try to keep everybody safe.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're starting to get out there and resume our normal duties
Okay.
as much as we can.
What's a house check?
So a house check would be if somebody goes on vacation and they let us know that they're away,
Okay.
then we would just check their house.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
just one question. I'm aware that there have been some coyote sightings in the township. And so, there's deer-related incidents. And I was just wondering, I mean, you obviously provide a lot of services beyond what people would typically think of as police services. And so is there a way of sort of tracking the other work that you're doing, responding to reports of coyotes in people's yards?
So yeah, we do capture everything in our records management system. So every contact we have, we do a report on. So that's all captured. But I've tried to just highlight basic categories that I think based on previous reports and some other things that I added in that I think are important as well.
Is there anything this month that, I don't want to say like a highlight, because that just makes it sound glorified, and I don't want to glorify it, but is there something that sticks in your mind as like, wow, this was something that was really unusual this month or something?
Also, I did want to touch on a couple of outstanding jobs that our officers have done last month. We had a burglary arrest. Officers Hennessy and Chalice made a really nice burglary arrest from a house on Valley Forge Road. Was burglarized. They did a great job on follow-up and wound up making an arrest on that. Officer Mignonia on January 17th got information of an abandoned white U-Haul van. He did find it. He had recognized earlier, he had heard information that a white van was involved in a theft of $4,800 worth of copper wire. Taking that information, he reached out to the department where the retail theft occurred, got the tag matched. So he was able to turn that van over to that department, and they were going to do the follow-up as far as they can get prints or DNA off the van to try to track those people down. And then finally, I just want to touch on January 26th, Officers Mignonia and Diorio got information from a neighboring department that they were looking for a suicidal female who had a weapon, a gun in the car. She was in an area of Valley Forge Park. They wound up pinging the phone and tracked her to Jug Hollow Road area of our township. Officer Mignonia and Diorio located the car with her in it. With the assistance of the township where it originated, they were able to safely get her out of the car, recover the weapon, and get her the help that she needed. So they did a great job.
Very good.
Yeah. I do want to say, with all the weather we had in January, the roads were, they're kind of tricky. I just want to thank our roadmaster, Nick, and his crew. They did an outstanding job keeping the roads clear. I don't think we had any accidents. We had some disableds, but because of their work, they made our job a lot easier.
That's good to hear. And I just wanted to let everyone know that I introduced our new chief to Dr. Fagley, Dr. Whitehead, and Dr. Garantano at the school district earlier this month, or not this month, last month. And the meeting went really well, and I know you're going to have some follow-up meetings with some principals and do some tours, and I'm done. I did my introduction, so.
So yeah, I've already done that. Last Friday, I went with Frank Garatano.
Oh, good.
We walked around the Early Learning Center, Manavon, and Schuylkill Elementary. I met all the principals, talked to them.
Oh,
had some
good.
good talks about having our officers walk through the schools, stop in, and make sure everything's okay. So we're looking to put that in place very shortly.
Good. That's great. That's awesome. And I know that you had, and I don't want to get into too much detail, but I know that you had asked for some technology from them.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes.
And you
Yeah,
got it?
we're
Oh, good.
We're
Okay.
working on that, yeah.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
Perfect. Awesome. So, any other 2-minute reports? I do have an open space report, but I will do that during executive session.
I don't think anything that we discussed at the historical commission is.
I don't think so.
And the EAC did not meet this month, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, moving on. Board discussion items, old business, consideration of approval for the document conversion services with CoStar's approved vendor Scantech, Inc., in the amount of $98,193.75 per their January 17th, 2022 proposal. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Lori, would you care to comment?
Unless the board has any additional questions about the proposal, this is the updated version that includes the police records that we had reviewed. And this does also include the Laserfiche software that they offer. We got some good reviews about it. And after some research, it seems like going with their program is going to be the easiest for us.
Yeah. And I've told Lori that I'm in charge of record management at my company, and I put together a record management program at my prior company. And I spoke to our record supervisor. He spoke very highly of the company.
Oh, good.
They actually do use it for some aspects.
Mhm.
The Laserfiche is some he's not as familiar with, but Scantech itself, it says it's a local company. They have excellent facilities to digitize the records. They have practically no light, so they get very good quality of the copies, even with old historical documents. So that was really nice to hear.
Oh, that's great.
Great.
Perfect. So there's been a motion and a second. Any more comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah. Discussion and consideration of approval of the proposal from Bars, Gowie, Ammon, Foltz to provide financial consulting services to the township. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Was there additional information that you were going to be discussing at the?
So, yes,
Okay.
so.
I need a motion, I need a second, okay.
I will second.
Okay.
So, we were going to have just some additional discussion about perhaps setting a cap on the
Okay.
amount of hours that we contract with them for. So my suggestion for this, and we've kind of gone back and forth and discussed with them and with our auditors who, once again, the auditors have been here all week, and when I told them that we were considering going with Peter Barr's firm, they had nothing but fantastic things to say about
That's
him,
good.
and they work with him in a lot of the other municipalities that they audit. So we're looking for them to fill more of like a controller type of role, to do some financial consulting for us and help us implement some projects and just get some things under control here. So my suggestion is that we set a limit on it, and we can do it by hours. So say 8 hours a month would give us, about 2 hours a week, or maybe 1 week we use them a little bit more than we do another week. But that just sets a financial cap on it. And the financial cap would be about $1,120 a month. And that, I've used their highest hourly rate to calculate based on the hours.
Mhm.
And we're not always gonna have Peter Bars himself here. It will most times probably be one of his associates that come at a lower hourly rate. So.
Do you
that's-
think 2 hours is enough, or?
I do, that was actually, that number came out of a discussion with our auditors.
Okay.
When EJ and I initially started trying to do some homework on this and see if we could come up with, creative solutions to give us a little bit of extra help here, so I do think that would be sufficient.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And my concern was that it was gonna be within the budget, and I think you've managed to make sure that it's within our budget.
Yes, it is within the budget, because for 2022, the salary budget included the township manager, myself as assistant township manager, plus an administrative person who was budgeted, I believe, for half of the year at part-time and the other half of the year at full-time. And right now, we do have a temporary employee, so we're not paying benefits for her right now, and she is working less than 25 hours a week.
Any more discussion?
I think the only thing is, if you do find, that you need additional hours, is the cap is more of it's a goal that we're setting, but if you have to go over, you'll be
I'll
bringing
bring
that
it
back to
the
us
board.
and discuss it with us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, and conversely, if we find that, a couple months down the line, we've got things working differently, that, if there would be any change to it, I would bring it back before the board.
Okay.
And I forgot to ask if the public had any comments on this. Okay, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. New business, consider accepting the resignation of Christopher Bullock from the Open Space Commission. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Lori?
So this came from the Open Space Commission. One of their members, due to some work obligations and personal obligations, won't be able to fulfill his duties on the commission. So he has submitted his resignation. We're sad to see him go, and I expect the Open Space Commission will make a recommendation in the future for a replacement, and we'll bring it back to the board for consideration at that point, but they don't have anybody right now to offer.
I know that they have some people in the pipeline, but
Yeah.
that's a long pipe.
Yeah.
So. Okay. There's been a motion and a second. Any more comments or questions from the board? Any public comment or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Authorization for purchase of the Ford Police Interceptor in the amount not to exceed $45,000. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Chief, we're putting you on the spotlight again.
All right. So, I don't know if you saw the memo I sent. Got some quotes from Whitmore Ford and New Holland. Both are co-stars, dealers. Schuylkill Township has purchased from Whitmore for a long time. We have a pretty good relationship with them. So, priced out the Ford Interceptor, the hybrid version, and the Dodge Durango Pursuit package, which I'm interested in. It's got a lot of good reviews. It's a newer, I guess, model to the police package. So based on everything that I got, we need a vehicle now. We didn't get a vehicle last year. Car 5 has over 70,000 miles on it. Our hybrid vehicle is in the shop again for the third time. So we're down that car. Based on availability, which the Ford Interceptor we could get immediately, and the price, which is the cheapest of the three, I made the recommendation to purchase the Ford. The transfer of equipment would be a lot easier. We'd be able to save some money as far as the transfer of equipment from one car to the next. And I've also looked into trading in the police vehicle that we have to Whitmore, and I submitted the paperwork and pictures of the car along with the specs, and I haven't got a price back or an estimate yet on what they would offer us for that, but that would take some of the cost from the township as far as putting out the money for the car. So I'm hopeful that between that and a lot of the stuff we're going to be able to reuse, be able to keep that price well under $45,000.
Were you able to consider any kind of energy efficient vehicles or look into that to see if that would be an option or?
So I know the Ford has the flex fuel option. Wasn't really familiar with it until I did some research on it, but apparently it burns ethanol, 85% ethanol versus gasoline. Ethanol is supposed to burn cleaner and have a better carbon footprint for the environment. There's not a lot of gas stations that carry that type of fuel right now, so I could see, if some gas stations were to start carrying that we would be able to, that would be an option for us. The hybrids, a lot of departments are getting away from them because of reliability issues. A neighboring department just got rid of theirs. Ours is in the shop again for the third time. I just think that the hybrids have, in my experience, based on past experience and current experience, have been unreliable. The Dodge Durango Pursuit, I was looking into whether or not they would come equipped with the fuel saver, so if you're stopped at a red light, the engine would cut and then come back on as you go again. I'm not really sure if that package is going to have it, but I know that the Durango does have that. I had that in a previous vehicle, so that is an option if we were to look at that in the future. But as far as immediate need right now, I think that the Ford, the Interceptor, serves an immediate need for us right now as far as availability and price.
What are the standards that you use when you determine when it's the time to replace a police vehicle? Is there sort of a standard, an objective standard that 70,000 miles is the time at which you would replace that from your fleet, or?
Yeah, that's basically what we use. We use the mileage, usually around 60,000, 70,000 miles. You start to have a lot of repair issues, and you start spending a lot of money as far as getting the car back on the road. So that's typically, I guess, some departments replace on a yearly basis, so like every 2 or 3 years they would replace cars. Every 5 years they would replace cars regardless of the mileage. And from what I've seen, we've used mileage.
Okay. So this is in keeping with past practice?
Correct.
Here in this department?
Do you keep track of auto miles too?
No.
No? Okay. I'm just curious, that's all. Any other questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the public? Lori, do we have anyone online? No. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay.
Was that put in the Dropbox, the stuff on the kid quiz? Sorry, was that put in the Dropbox? The
Yes.
stuff
Authorization to list the 2015 Chevy Tahoe, VIN number 1GNSKBKC1FR625895. I think I got everything in there. For sale on Municipal. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Chief, would you like to comment again?
So this was a vehicle that was out of service when I got here. Yeah, I really don't have any other comment other than I think it needs to be sold.
Okay.
It's not functional?
No, it needs a
There's
new
some
engine.
issues with the transmission.
Yes,
Okay.
it needs a new transmission.
There had been some discussion before Chief Fry got here as to whether or not the vehicle was worth repairing or could be traded in for something. But at this point, based on the maintenance issues, they're just asking to sell on Municipal.
Good, okay.
And I think you might be surprised at how much you'll get for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason why I'm saying that is we have sold not just vehicles, but some equipment that Nick has had. And he's like, oh, we're not gonna get much for it, and we ended up getting more than what we paid for it.
Wow.
So believe it or not, I think you'll be
Yeah,
surprised.
used cars are a hot commodity right now.
Yeah, Yeah. So, okay. There's been a motion and a second. Any more comments or questions from the board? Any public comment or questions here? Any public or comment or questions online?
I found that stuff.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Authorization to purchase a new server for the police department in the amount of $7,752.45. I'll make that
Back to
motion.
you.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'm putting you on the spot again.
So, yeah, it's okay. That's okay. So, this is a server for our Cody records management system. This was spec'd out and planned prior to my getting here. And we were just able to verify that this server meets everything that we need through Cody.
We had expected to make the purchase in 2021, but for one reason or another, it never got purchased. So it was budgeted for in 2021. The 2022 budget does not include the full amount, or whatever, because it was thought that it was going to be purchased in 2021. So we will see that. But
What are you using now? Is it just we're using an old server that's
We are.
low to?
Yeah, we're told that it's in danger. It's danger of
Failing?
failing. Yeah, I guess you could say that.
And you're going to be using coding more, right? Like our officers are going to be using coding more
They are,
with some of their
yes,
work,
yes,
which is
they
nice.
are.
He's really making it more technological.
Right.
And there's
We're-
nothing worse than having a really slow server when you're trying to get guys to get excited about using some new technology. So I get it.
And there's some other things with Cody as far as add-ons that would also come under the server, like a program dealing with evidence, how we keep evidence, how we categorize it, and then somewhere down the line, maybe next year, the track system in the cars, so the officers can print tickets out in the cars instead of having to handwrite them. So that all goes to Cody.
Oh, great.
Oh, that's cool. That's really good. Okay, any more comments or questions from the board? Any public comment or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolutions and ordinances. Consider adopting Resolution 2022-09, updating the Chester County Tax Collection District delegate information. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Lori?
this is just updating the voting delegate, changing it from EJ to myself. This is just something that we do annually to appoint the voting members to the tax collection district.
And I have to tell you, I've been the alternate since 2011, and I've never had to do it. I don't even know what it is, so.
You were doing a great job.
Yes, thank you. And I think EJ said that they meet like once a year. Yeah.
But we have to do the piece of paper.
Yes, yes, we do. So, any comments or questions from the board?
No.
Any public comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consider adopting Resolution 2022-10, approving the filing of an application for Chester County Municipal Grant Program Assistance. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Lori?
So this is just the board authorizing, the Open Space Commission has asked to apply for a grant, and the municipality has to do the grant application on behalf of the commission. So this is just, it's a potential land acquisition grant that they're seeking funding for. So this is just authorizing me to submit the application on behalf of the Open Space Commission.
And is there a matching component to?
Yes.
So there's a match, but it's not, there's no dollar amount specified. Basically, the way it works is, in my reading of the grant application, is it basically allows you to submit for up to 50% of the total costs. So there's no specified amount right now that we need to put into the grant as a match.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Any public comment or questions? Anything online? All those in favor?
Aye.
Subdivision and land development. Consider granting conditional approval for Consider granting conditional approval for 275/255 Campwood Road Lot Consolidation Plan. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'm going to turn it right over to you, Paul.
Fair enough, fair enough. So the applicant for 275 and 255 Campwood Road, they're looking to consolidate the lot that they live on with the adjoining lot which they own. It's simply an eradication of a lot line. There's not a shovel going into the ground. We have no objections to their submission to date. They made a original submission. We had comments. They came back. They took care of just basically almost all the comments. The one thing that we noted is that there is an existing nonconformity. The rear yard should be 40 feet. It's existing as 37.5 feet. What they're doing is not changing any of that, so it's just going to remain. We noted it as such. The Chester County Planning Commission has provided a letter which we put in our general comments for the applicant to address. They were very generic in their comments.
Okay. And did either of you attend the planning commission meeting this month?
No. I feel like I did, but I don't remember this.
I think you got there a little
I
late.
know.
That's why.
Yeah. You were there.
Okay.
We're there.
It was
Yeah.
a 10-minute meeting.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's right. You showed up after it ended. That's right, because it was a 10-minute meeting. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Just to let you guys know, the whole reason why they're doing this is because they want to prevent this other lot from being developed. So that's their intention behind it.
interesting.
So it's a good thing
Yeah, nice.
to do this. So, any comments or questions from the board?
None.
Any comments or questions from the public?
Nothing online.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consider waiver request for 19 Oakwood Lane. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We need to hear some comments here. Again, putting you in the spotlight here, Paul.
No, that's not a problem. So the applicant for 19 Oakwood Lane had submitted plans, and it's just for a stormwater management and grading permit application. So it's not a typical saldo application. Through the course of their reviews, they've had to get some zoning variances, which the zoning hearing board did grant to them back in April of 2021. Additionally, they've made 2 submissions to the township. We reviewed it. Their engineer has revised the plans. The most recent letter we prepared had a couple comments about the historical spring house on the property. The applicant has gone in front of the historical commission, and the chairperson of the commission has said that they have no objection to the proposed development of this lot. The waiver that the applicant is requesting is from section 310-306, and it's basically there is a minimum of a ½ inch of infiltration that is required for any proposed development that requires stormwater management. Their property they did several tests. They do have a good limiting zone, but there was no infiltration. Literally, it came back at 0.0 inches per hour. So they're requesting a waiver from the requirement to have that ½ inch infiltrated onto their site. The applicant has put in a rain garden, or is proposing a rain garden with a soil amendment mix with a level spreader. They are controlling the volume from the water. They're also controlling the post-construction runoff rates. Therefore, as we reviewed that, as a township engineer, we had no objection to the waiver request.
So you don't think there would be any adverse impact to neighbors or anything? Okay, good.
None.
Yeah, I'm just curious, Paul, with the model ordinance that we've been discussing at the county, would that, if this was to come after that's enacted, would we have the ability to grant this waiver?
No, it would have to go to the conservation district or the DEP prior to the board of supervisors having the ability to grant this waiver.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to ask the exact same question. This is the typical thing that we would see. And, yeah,
When I first saw this, what we had in the Dropbox was just the waiver letter, so I was asking Paul for more details. You know, now I understand that they've done other mitigating measures on the property to handle stormwater, and so it's not that they're, you know, they're not addressing it, it's just that they can't, it must be this play.
Yeah, the lot physically doesn't accommodate the water. It was a wooded lot, and again, the thing is that the applicant is preparing and doing stormwater management. They can't make the water infiltrate. So in our opinion, based off the design from their engineer, they're doing everything they possibly can. They're managing their water. There was no objection from us as to suggest the approval of the waiver.
any other comments or questions? Any public comment or questions?
Does the motion need to include the section, the waiver section, or is the motion as it is written sufficient?
As written by their engineer, or the motion?
When I have
All I said in the motion was to consider waiver requests
Yeah.
for 19 Oakwood Lane. Do I have to list them specifically?
Yeah, there should be an amendment. It should be from section 310-306.
310-306.
Okay. So let me amend that to say, consider waiver requests for 19 Oakwood Lane, which would include waivers from section 310-306. Do I have to say the whole thing?
No, I think you can just say
That's
it.
fine.
That's fine.
Okay. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Any more questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any additional business? Any announcements? I don't have any announcements. Are the police doing anything this month? Any outreach or anything?
We don't have anything planned right now.
Okay, okay. The fire company? Is the fire company doing anything this month?
Schuylkill, the 19th, breakfast, the 5th of next month.
Fabulous. Okay, make sure we have those up and running. And any public comment? Anything online? I'll make the motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.